And we're live. Hello everyone, this is Nen, NGDC, joining you again for another React video, this time for... Dang it! I still keep doing that.
Don't worry, you can edit it in post.
But yeah, join us for another podcast. This time is Carlos. Okay, let's...
Hey. It's me, Gunmetal Gator here, just telling you guys what's going on with the festivities here.
Alright, and then next up, Jenn.
I may be first, I may be last, I may be late for dinner, but I am always Jenn. Hello, everybody.
Alright. And then, well, it's Ninja DCG me. So does anyone want to start first with what they've been up to?
Let's see. See, Gator, you want to go first?
I want to see what you wanted to say first.
Oh, okay. As for me, what's going on with me? Nothing much, honestly. Nothing much here. Just the same old, just working and going home, back and forth. That's same old 6 and 7. I know, riveting, right?
Yeah, that actually reminds me, like, well, can you all hear me right now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, just make sure everyone's on. Yeah, that just reminds me, like, when talking to some people, it was like, oh, yeah, we've been up to, like, just regular, quote, regular people, but it's like in real life. It's talking to me, he's like, oh, we've been up to, it's like, oh, just working for a bank, just doing stuff through the week. It's like, not really much exciting. It's like, I want to keep up with people all the time, but sometimes it's like, what is, do work, come home, play a game / watch an anime, come home with it. Like, sometimes it's hard to like explain, especially when they're outside of your hobby areas.
Yeah, definitely.
It's easier with all of you because we're all in pretty much the same or related hobbies and interests. But like when it's a particular problem with like I would hate to use the term like regular people, sort of degrading, but just that's.
Another thing that we all have in common. We're just trying to stay clear of the Delta variant. We're just trying to dodge COVID like Neo in the Matrix, you know?
Yeah. But yeah, that's a very important thing. Like, I'm just hoping for like the cure to come on, just so it could be one shot and then one kill for the virus. Yeah.
I agree. I just hope people can get vaccinated, because like this virus is going to keep on mutating, and then we got a Delta variant. I mean, what's next? What's next? Are we going to have an Alpha Bravo Charlie Delta Epsilon variant? Are we going to keep going? All right. Before we know it, we're going to have a variant called. We're going to have a variant called whiskey. Called. Wait a minute. What's it? Shoot. What's the term? Whiskey. What's the term for WTF? It's whiskey something foxtrot.
Whiskey Charlie foxtrot, or?
Yeah, I have no. Oh, I used to know what it was, but it's the more G-rated version of WTF.
But actually, does remind me
Whiskey Tango. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. If we have a variant called Whiskey Tango Foxtrot.
That actually reminds me, like, something my one of the like Colin Morati, he does gaming news and all that.
Yeah.
He one quote he says I feel like the COVID is trying to start its own frat house. Now like the Delta and Gamma variants coming up.
Oh my gosh! You know what? You know how somebody made an anime about cells at work?
Yes.
I think somebody should try making some sort of animated feature about COVID frat house. It's like we have the Delta house over here. We have the OG house over here. And then they have like new viruses that they have to pledge, that they pledge and everything, and then to become members of either the Delta variant or OG variant or And then there's like some sort of cell that just doesn't fit in, and then all of a sudden, like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna start my own variant, the Whiskey Tango Foxtrot variant. Or there's a Bravo, or there's a Bravo variant or something, or a Charlie variant. Oh my goodness. I hope that doesn't happen, but there is such comedic potential in that. If only that could be done in a way that it doesn't hurt anybody, you know?
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So, do you want to know what my big news is for today?
What's your big news, Gator?
It's a two-parter. And I'm sorry. I lied. I didn't tell you guys the actual good news that actually has major relevance with us all.
Ah, we could use some good news.
We might not need to wait for Generation 5 anymore.
Wait a minute, you're talking about MLP Generation 5?
Yeah, we might not need to wait for Gen 5 for, like, actually hearing some great stuff from great creators. All about candy-coated horses and such. Because Netflix dropped this week a little show by the name of Centaur World.
Centaur World?
And the reason why I say you don't have to wait for G5 is because the story editor for the said series is actually Megan McCarthy.
Oh my God!
Actually, I've heard of Centaur World. I actually did not know about that fact, which actually does raise its interest in me.
Aside from the main character being voiced by Lena from DuckTales 2017 fame, the girl who ended up being a magician with the powers of friendship on her side. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
This is a show about a warhorse literally being separated from the rider and get isekai to a world of centaurs, in which she has to deal with the fact that she can now talk and move her limbs as if she was a person. While dealing with musically inclined centaurs of many different body shapes and sizes.
Oh, I can't wait. Okay, we're going to put that on the list. Centaur World. We're going to put that on the list, totally. I have been dreaming. I remember as a kid, like, seeing one of my favorite animated features was the Fantasia, the original Fantasia, and there was like an animated feature called I think it was called A Day in the Country or A Day in a Valley, and it is all just these colorful centaurs, and they're just like, just having a day in the valley and such, and it's been one of my favorite animated features. And now, after 30-something years, it's coming true!
And thanks to Megan McCarthy, too. God,
oh my God!
This description of the show we can have is literally Samurai Jack's art style meets My Little Pony. That's legitimately what this is. What people think My Little Pony is exactly like how the Centaur World is like.
And this is those people that were like, okay, wait a minute. I'm like, how do you combine MLP with the Questia Girls? Centaur World.
But just to give some context, like, the show is not in the style of MLP. G4.
No. It's just what people assume My Little Pony is.
Exactly. And then all of a sudden they watch Equestria Girls and they're like, and then they're like me. They start thinking, I wonder.
But just to give it's very much in like the sort of extremism of like Adventure Time, and art direction. It's very. I hate to use the term negatively, but it is very definitely a CalArt show. But
that's going to be a thing. It's a CalArt show. That's going to be a thing.
I use that as a negative term, but at the same time, like, we do sort of want more diversity and art direction. I mean, heck, say what we want about like the He-Man show not following He-Man, it at least is not CalArts.
Well, here's one show that doesn't follow. That's not a okay. Tell me if this is a CalArt show. Has-Been Hotel. That's not a CalArt show, is it?
No.
That's got to be. That's independent, I think, right?
Yeah, absolutely independent.
Kids, CalArts is the only place you can get quality animation and store in entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate CalArts style, but it's like it is overused, and like it's like the one. It's basically when you find out like the one like cheat code, like the success or something like that, and like you just abuse the heck out of it.
Yeah.
And like CalArts is sort of like, oh, we can animate X amount with like a half the budget because it's simpler designs, and like because it's fluid animation. But the good thing with like digital things, like it's easier to make things fluid than it is to make things detailed.
Right.
Just because like the animation software does fill in a lot of like the in between animation, like that's how it, besides just helping color and animate blah blah faster, it can help do the in between animation for you
And
a
that's
lot.
always, and that's always the hard, and that's I've always like that's the hard, and that's one of the hardest parts of it, especially with the hand drawn and everything. You're drawing literally everything from one action to the next.
Yeah, that actually is really a good documentary would be to like just sort of study the change because like it really going from like hand drawn and cell shaded to
To Flash.
yeah, not just Flash but also just in general computer programs as a whole because we hate to say Flash because that's how we think about it originally, but no, like every every anime now is not done besides basically one or two art pieces is done in computers and all, and like it just saves a lot of things because like it does a lot of the coloring it can do for you. It can like help with in between animation. Also, just like with a like Patreon artists, like the reason I can do a whole bunch of different poses and designs from like one thing is because once you create the core design, you can alter it like very significantly easier than like doing it instead of like doing like two different poses for something like and doing two different drawings. Now with digital computer thing, you can use one base thing and then just alter that.
Right.
And that's sort of like I don't know, we got way off topic for this, but
that's what we just talked about this.
But yeah, hearing Megan McCarthy guy definitely is because I have heard about this show. It has been like keeping my eye on. Like the only thing it's been sort of keeping me off is like I'm not a big fan of Adventure Time. Adventure Time is like tea. I really want to like it, but I just don't usually.
I mean, Adventure Time. It's got its fun. It's got its funny moments. It's got its moments, you know.
Yeah. It's like, and there's also, it's like, again, with tea, there are some teas I like, and I try to drink tea more, but it's just not my thing. And that's Adventure Time. Like, yeah, I can appreciate some things about it, like some of the villains and sort of the things. It's also, I guess, sort of like Rick and Morty with that too. Is like there are some very cool ideas in Rick and Morty, but like I just don't like Rick and Morty as a whole.
I can't get into Rick and Morty. I tried it. I can't do it.
Like I like Rick and Morty as for YouTube clips. That's what I love because it does do absurd things. But I don't want to watch episodes just because like it's such a cynical show, like a very sort of like mean-spirited show.
Yeah. I think that's why I think that's why I can't get into it because I'm reaching a point in my life where I'm like, I'm getting kind of tired of the cynical shows. I mean, the world is cynical enough. I like a little escapism, please. But also I think about it this way: like if I want something really cynical, hell, I'll watch South Park.
I mean, actually, that's the one thing I don't watch South Park, but like I do respect them because they're still ongoing. They still have the same charm, and they sort of they're like I said, they like to punch in all directions. Like so, they'll make fun of Republicans one episode, make fun of Democrats that next episode, then the next episode they'll make fun of everyone.
That they do that every single episode. They make fun of everyone. They make fun of everyone every episode. They're never hurting for ideas to make fun of. Like, is there any, like, I bet there's not a thing that they can't make fun of.
Also, just to get to the point, like, it's like, yeah, the one thing I heavily respect them as of late is like they've come full out like balls to the walls, like not afraid to make fun of China. Like they are not afraid to call out all the shit that every other company is afraid to mention.
I'm not surprised because they did it to Japan. They kind of did it to Japan, and they're like, you know what, we've done it. They kind of did it to Japan. They kind of alluded with, I guess, the Middle East in a sense. So
like I mean, what I mean is like most other companies are like they've like one thing with South Park, they're poking fun of the fact that like Disney is basically completely and utterly like just like sucking China's dick. There's they are like. And they actually, I think they made that direct analogy. Like they are no, like they are make no apology like that. Disney is trying to play to China, and like to please them, and to basically like, oh, there's no genocide in China. It's like, and like all that stuff. Like all these companies are basically trying to appease the oppressive authoritarian government over there because money, and they're not afraid to come out and say like, hey. It's like this is wrong. They poked fun like on a whole bunch of episodes there. Heck, they even got banned in China because of it. Mostly because they showed like
that's probably what they were going for. I mean, that actually does not surprise me. That does not surprise me at all that South Park would do that. I figured I was thinking to myself like they haven't done it. Maybe that's when would they do it? But when would they're eventually going to do it because you know what, they make fun of everything and everybody, so it does not surprise me so this is no big stretch. I'm not surprised they would go that route. And I bet like okay, I bet when they were talking about like okay, let's go get China, let's go make fun of China, let's see if we can get ourselves banned in China.
Yeah, just to like give you. Because I'm not fully up to date with all the modern plots, like, but one of the plot lines is essentially the one father and like of the kids is trying to get his basically weed business in China, so he's trying to appease them. So he's also working with Disney, and the mouse is like Disney represented by Mickey Mouse is like it's like yeah, we can help you and we can work together, but you need to do something first. And he has him basically strangle Winnie the Pooh to death because China does not like Winnie the Pooh.
I remember that because China does not like Winnie the Pooh. Like, can someone refresh? Like, why is that? I don't remember.
They believe it's a caricature of like their prime minister. That's the thing.
No, their president for life, basically dictator. Their Hitler is very similar. Like even if you look at the comparisons, like you can see where the comparisons are made. He does look like Winnie the Pooh. He has that very face. And the thing is, like, the thing that's sort of stupid about this is like, it's like, okay, you're a dictator and you're being associated with one of the most lovable characters on all time. Embrace that, you idiotic dumbass. But no, he has to try to hide it.
Yeah.
I
don't like being associated with that.
Like dictators love to be associated as like family men for some god knows reason, but and he's like walked into an opportunity. He's like, nah, I'm gonna screw that. I don't want to be compared to Winnie the Pooh. He's like,
you don't want to be.
You're not even dictatoring right.
You don't want to be compared to a a soft-spoken honey-eaten bear. I mean, one that was probably in the one that probably every single like Western child or whatever had a plushie of or something. You don't want to be associated with that. Wow.
Really, I guess people can be as shallow as that, you know?
I mean, okay. Okay, just okay. I mean, hey, there are worse things you can be than Winnie the Pooh that you can be associated to. There are worse things than that.
Let me actually send you. Here's a link to a photo comparing G to Winnie the Pooh, and like you get to see, that it's really like you can actually see where the comparison is made.
Okay, that's in the chat, right?
Yeah, it's posted in chat.
Here we go. Not well.
I see it in the cheekbones.
Yeah, I see it in the cheekbones too, but that's it.
No, it's in another thing. Like it is like it comes out in other photos. Like you can see the comparison, and it's sort of like how like everyone compares like McConnell. Let me see, it's McConnell to a turtle. Here.
Okay, but there's way more resemblance in that than this.
But yeah, I guess moving on to other things.
Yeah.
I guess you had another thing you were going to talk
Well,
about, Carlos.
Yes.
Now, is this a
After
news
shocking
story or
you
something
guys.
else?
It's the news story that I was going to mention, but I wanted to
All right.
surprise you all with
Okay.
All right.
1-2 KO. So hey, let's go ahead and
Well,
talk about the fact that last night David Productions decided to release a 2-minute trailer and major announcements that Netflix is hosting the worldwide premiere of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 6 Stone Ocean on December 2021. Instead of, like a TV broadcast all over Japan, like in January of 2022. So us Netflix audience can actually watch it before the Japanese, and if they're not subscribed to Netflix.
Wow. Wow.
yeah,
That is a first.
yeah, Netflix is interesting as in like they don't really try to compete in terms of number of series. Releasing like the newest series, like they pick them up later, like a lot of them, like they do have a good selection.
Mm-hmm.
But they usually just try to focus on like here we're gonna have like 5 to 10 like news series like that are like premieres air quotes on Netflix a year,
Mm-hmm.
but those are going to be some of the biggest series. Um, we just had Beastars 2 just come out, which is huge. When it, like we forget like sorry how huge Beastars was that, but like yeah that pushed a lot. And then like Eden Zero is coming out this month too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God! Finally, actual legal streaming of one of my new favorite properties from Hiroshima. Huzzah!
Huzzah!
Yeah, for give context, Jen, that's like the creator of Fairy Tail.
Ah, okay.
And it uses a lot of like similar character designs and also even some references.
Nice.
Like Happy is a returning character basically.
Okay.
Mhm. Yes.
In the meantime, while I look on my bookshelf and I see anime that is over probably almost a decade, and one that I know has got to be over 20 years old that I haven't watched yet.
That's what I said. That's the one thing I think I brought up on my things I've been doing is like yeah one thing series I just caught up on last time I said was like a Legend of oh gosh what was it called? Oh I got my anime list. Drafts. Record of Lotus War, which I just caught up, which is like a 90s OVA series.
Well, that is a
It says
classic.
it says OVA, but they're basically episode length OVA, so it's pretty comparable to the first season.
Yeah.
That was an old one. It's like it is interesting watching like those really old early 90s, late 80s anime because they are a very different feel.
And a different look too. I mean, you had that was the era of the cell shaded.
And then let me see. And then yeah, I think it was like the mid 90s through like mid 2000s we had like another wave, which is sort of like I think sort of the forgotten one, even though there's a lot of big things like Evangelion and like Cowboy Bebop worked in there, but like I think it's where like anime basically became more mainstream in Japan or something, where it's like more series were being adapted. So like there's a lot more variety, and they sort of didn't know what was going to be successful yet, so we got a whole bunch of stuff, especially in the slice of life genre.
Oh yeah. And then you had the behemoth that was Attack on Titan. Yeah, pretty much just changed. Yeah, pretty much game changer, you know.
Well, I mean, right now people don't know whether or not if Attack on Titan, the final part 2, is going to be like the end all be all, because that's not going to be competing with JoJo Part 6 in the same time frame now.
Titan is supposed to be done. Titan is supposed to be all wrapped up.
No, there's that.
The anime.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking the manga.
I just want to ask because
wrapped up.
I didn't watch the most recent season because I knew it was not going to end yet. But I just want, did they get to Aaron's controversial decision yet or not?
No, not yet, man.
All right.
Not yet.
All right.
It's not. It's just only right now. They don't know what Aaron's plans are.
So there's a possibility it could deviate from the manga.
No,
Oh.
it's not that. It's just that he hasn't announced it to the world specifically yet.
Okay.
We're just going into right now parodies being invaded again.
Okay.
With them being in civil war mode.
Actually, this reminds me of this is sort of a secondary news story because I still have my own things I want to discuss beforehand, but it reminds me of how Bleach is actually coming back.
Oh yeah,
it's coming
Bleach
back.
It's
yeah,
they're hell chapters.
But they're going to there's also different things because I think first of all they're doing to animate the last arc, which was overall positively received, but the last part was rushed. From what I understand, they're going to expand that out. That's why I said this reminded me of that, how they are going to actually change it from the manga, just because more or less the manga company was yeah, you have 5 more chapters in this. I don't know if I can be. It was you have 5 more chapters. They it was very clear they gave them a deadline to end this series. So with the anime, they're going to expand some out so it's not as rushed. I mean, it actually was probably it was a big jump back in quality of the series. I won't say it got to the series peak again or the Soul Society arc, but the last arc definitely improved it from where it was. Especially if the anime just focuses on the battle, because there are some really epic things there.
I can't believe the big 3 is being resurrected in some form of way now. Again.
The big 3, what's that?
You know, One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach.
Ow.
Technically, One Piece is still a zombie going on forever. Then
One Piece will never end.
Now given the reins to Boruto.
A serious question is do kids really not know that Naruto was a series before? Because I hear a lot of people joking oh, Boruto, no, Boruto's dad series or something
Oh my gosh! I hope that's not the case.
I think it's a joke, but I'm concerned that it isn't, which is concerning particularly just because Boruto is not as good as Naruto. It's basic. It's like Naruto, but just a filler, which ain't necessarily bad, but it's not the good stuff.
Meh. I'm thinking I worry that Boruto's just gonna be another retelling of Naruto, but okay.
No, it's not. Trust me on this. What I watched from the first 100 episodes of Boruto, there was a lot of filler. Aside from the big animation point of episode 66.
Right.
And it was basically one of my favorite characters ended up being a filler character by the name that was nicknamed the Student Council President. Because God, I think I found an actual competitor for instead of trying to ship Boruto with the child of Sasuke and Sakura.
No.
I know, it's just the
one thing I will say, which I find is sort of frustrating, but I think it's sort of true, is I think biggest problem with Boruto is not the most interesting character in that series.
Oh. No, because we have
Because even when I read some of the early manga and sorry if I'm interrupting you and all that, but even from the earlier manga and from seeing some of the series, Sarada, which is sorry to disappoint you, Jen, Sasuke and Sakura's daughter.
I know. I know who she is, so it's all good.
Right. I actually like her as a character from or at least where she was introduced, because she's a more mature Naruto in her age, because she has the goal to become a Hokage. She looks up to Naruto and wants to sort of be like him, but also is more professional, she has the good qualities of Sakura back in the days, as the more responsible, level-headed one, but also with the sort of determination and sort of skills. It's I actually like her as a character. It's just Boruto is sort of Boruto is just sort of a more obnoxious gosh, what's his name? The one Hokage's grandson.
Konomaru.
Konomaru.
Yeah. Which I say more obnoxious because that's what I mean is Konomaru he has a place, and he actually, especially now in the future, he's a very developed character. Boruto feels like a worse version of that.
Oh, you know what? Boruto, I'm like, well, the one thing is like, well, he's a kid, so I'm like, he's a kid, and also like, well, I don't know, almost, I don't want to say he's born with a silver spoon in his mouth, but then again, he's the current Okage's son.
Yeah.
I mean, from what little I've seen of it, I agree with you, Ninja. I do like Sarada. I do like her. I do love the designs of the kids. I do love the designs of the kids, with the Naruto and Hinata. I love Boruto and Himawari's designs and such.
Yeah. Himawari is
I did love the scene. I did love the scene where, okay, Himawari is obviously younger, so she's a little bit more childish and such. I love the part where I guess Boruto like actually tears her plushie, and then she goes into the Chidori mode, but ends up and she's ready to like launch onto Boruto, but Daddy Naruto gets in the way and he gets the receiving end.
I mean, not Chidori.
I thought that was hilarious.
I mean, it's more about the Byakugan,
Oh wait, not Chidori. I'm sorry, I got the. Oh my gosh, what did I say? Chidori? No, though that's.
Chidori is literally like the lightning technique of Sasuke. That
I got also mixed up. I feel so stupid now. I got so.
I forget the technically. Byakugan. Yeah, Bakugan is like the eyes. I forget the actual technique's name.
You are pretty. I got them completely mixed up. I feel so stupid now.
That's actually the one thing I really hate about the original Naruto series. Like they never really got like the Bakugan a time to shine. Like they had strong characters use it, but like we never really got a good fight where like you could see like a real pro like Jonin level use it. Like it's just like, yeah, we got to see gosh, what's his name?
Neji.
We got to see Neji fight, but like it was such a background fight whenever he actually fought.
Yeah. Another thing that I don't care for. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, that's what I was saying. Is like I really wish we would have got a solid like Bakugan fight with with Neji or another Jonin level.
Yeah.
So just because like that technique is more feared than like basically the base Sharingan, and like more desired. Like and so it's like I wish we got seen it more. And like the only sort of reference we get is like, oh yeah, sort of the final villain. She also has that like as a other thing she uses.
Yeah. Another thing that I really don't care for. Boruto has. Some of its moments, it's good to see, certain characters grown up again and such. Like, I loved it. I got to see 10-10 and, oh crap, the girl who had the fan, cannot remember her name.
Tamari,
thank you. Tamari Shikamaru. The one with the girl with the blonde hair. Ina, I got to see. Yeah, we got to see some of the. Ino, okay. So we got to see some of like the old characters like that. The one thing that I don't care for Boruto is the treatment of Hinata. I mean, Hinata was alongside Naruto in a lot of missions, and she's a ninja in her own right. But now she's been denigrated to waifu, to just housewife. I don't know.
Actually, I don't hate it too much.
I mean, the thing with like Hinata is she's more of a really soft soul. Like, I mean, like, it's just like it feels like if it was more like, say, if it was the opposite situation around with Sakura, I can understand the complaint.
Right.
Hinata, I think she's perfectly fine where she is.
I know. I know. It just seemed like it was such a setup. It was such a setup for Hinata. Like, it's like the minute you see her demeanor, like in the beginning, I'm like, oh, okay, somebody's trying to waifu her up. So and now she's a waifu, and I'm like, oh, come on, there could have been like some. It just felt like wasted potential to me,
But I mean, here's my thing overall. Is like, yeah, I sort of agree, but also like. I'm fine with it mostly because she actually does have a role in the series now. Like she does embody like the mother for Boruto, and like she actually like even though it's not the best role, but it is a solid continuous role for her, and actually is a good like you get to see like she is the motherly figure, and she also is like the partner of Naruto, like sort of like working with them. So I do appreciate that. I do get what you're saying, but like I feel like that boat has already sailed a long time ago, and I'm not happy with that. Like the biggest, like, I was actually just thinking about this recently, is like how, like, if I could go and rewrite Naruto and all, like just think how much more interesting, like, if the series would have been if, like, basically Team 7 was basically Shikamaru, Naruto, and Hinata.
Oh
or
my
something like that.
god. No, okay. If that's the combination, then it would be very much like Naruto being at odds with Shikamaru because of like he's like saying like, what are you doing leaving around? And when do you have any right to like command me what to do? You know?
How
You
about
know,
if you rewrite if you ever rewrite it now? How about make Jiraiya live?
I'm
Make
sorry.
Jiraiya lives. Okay, that's my only request.
I mean, I get it. He's a lovable pervy sage, but God, like
He's a lovable, perfect.
its best impact. That was literally like the best impact in early Shippuden. Like seriously.
They actually did remind me of like one of my favorite thing, like because I've seen some episodes. I occasionally, if they do something interesting, I'll look into Boruto. One of the most interesting things they did recently, but well, one is like with his daughter, basically where he was looking after like the first tail beast,
Mhm.
and like that was
Yeah.
actually adorable. Like I do appreciate that. But another one was
Yeah.
like the time travel back episode where
Oh,
Boruto got sent
yeah.
back with Sasuke, and then we get to see Jiraiya again, and like all the old younger cast. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
this is nostalgic, and I love it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed.
I mean, we gotta do the fan service right, you know?
And also like Boruto like interacting with young Naruto. I mean,
Mhm.
okay, yeah, agreed. I was like, this is nostalgic, and I ain't mad. I ain't mad at this.
But yeah, but I was just saying, like I really like because I love Hinata as a character, but I feel like
Yeah.
I felt she would have been a better team at just sort of working out now. But also like even like
This
bringing
one
like
doesn't
the
work.
but I mean I would have to rewrite a whole bunch of things. I'm not denying that, but like I would also just like how they would do things like because she would be a great like student of like Tsunade. Just because
Yeah.
like imagine like a medical ninjutsu user like with the Bakugan. Like you like
There you
not just
go.
it's like a built-in X-ray, MRI,
Yeah.
and like all every baby sensor are all built in one. Like she was whoa, and like also just like the
Approved.
way Hinata isn't really a combatant. Like it fit
Right.
her so well, and like and then Sakura does it, but like it's
I approve of
It's
that.
more
I
of a
approve of
clone of
that so
Tsunade.
much. I approve of that so much. There we go. I approve of that so much. That would have been great.
So,
I mean, yeah, I don't know they would have to redo things like, but I mean they could still do the Sasuke Naruto rivalry. They just could be rivals on like different teams and like
Exactly.
and like that's just a
oh,
they
wait.
would have to
Wait, I have an idea.
Hmm.
Okay. Like, what team composition would Sasuke do that would still have only a little bit of emotional impact for, like, the team that Sasuke leaves? Like,
well, I mean I think would still have to have Sakura on it because like love
Yeah.
or hate whatever they are like I think they used to like
Mhm.
need on she needs them more than he sort of thing.
Okay,
Um
so, I'm
and then like
thinking, what about Kiba for the replacement for, like, this alternative team setting without Naruto?
I'm not sure. Not sure.
Because the way they play him off is sort of like a diet Naruto.
or actually maybe another way is like because we have to sort of like this is what like our car allows shuffling but like I'm thinking maybe gosh, I mean, but like having
Wait.
Sakura and like on the same team versus
Oh God! Oh my God! You are just creating like a landmine, the team that will self-destruct itself in no time.
but no, I was trying to think it was like mostly because when Sasuke leaves, like we introduce Sai sooner.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because actually it is how it actually went around of her and Sai, but like that actually like I actually wouldn't mind seeing like Ino and Sai interacting more sooner. That's that's the reason I threw that out.
Okay.
I mean, that would be an interesting thing, like the heartthrob with the two girls madly in love with him.
Oh, that's every harem anime out there.
Oh God!
Yeah.
Oh God!
Well, what else? What else are we? What else have we been talking about other than Naruto?
I guess I can cover my things and then can move into new stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mostly just been sort of trying to figure out what to do, so I'm in between. The one series I've been watching, it actually does come back to MLP. an actually interesting thing is like the anime I've been watching, and I should probably finish today or tomorrow, is, let me pull it up because it's a light novel series, so I need to make sure I get the name right. Didn't I say my abilities average? Didn't I say to make my abilities average in my next life? Which is a Crunchyroll dubbed series.
Mhm.
And so I've been catching up with that. Which basically, you know Isekai, right, Jen?
Yes.
Very hard. I just want to make sure. It's basically that about girls. Like I've been basically overworked, like top student, like in this life. I just want to be completely average in the next life. Well, she didn't specify average for human. She said average for the world. So it's like there's basically the world. Like, and sort of similar things like, well, it's like, well, the strongest creature in the world here is an elder dragon. So it's here, and the weakest is say a hummingbird. So you're essentially in between that, or basically half the power of an elder dragon. It's like that's average.
Mhm.
So yeah, she basically becomes accidentally OP, even though she didn't want to be. So it's basically a comedic isekai that also sort of pokes fun at like stories and all that.
Uh-huh.
And the one thing I want to bring out with the dub is there's two voices that are come up to mind that are of note. One is like basically the more magey healer of the team is
Yeah.
voiced by Ash's mother. And
Okay.
it's very noticeable. When she first popped up, like Ash Ketchum's mother from Pokemon.
Yeah.
Delilah, yeah,
Hardly
that's her
remember
name.
what she sound. I hardly remember what she sounds like,
Well,
but
you'll
okay.
recognize her voice when you hear her. Like
Okay.
it's that very distinct like thing, and that's why I say it's like, and this is like a very similar tone. It's like, whoa, I haven't heard this in a while.
Ah.
But the other voice is like the knight of the group. Is basically this more tomboy girl is voiced by Sweetie Belle's voice actress.
Claire Corley.
Yeah.
Hey, she moving up in the world. Awesome.
I think her like that's how I said. Sweetie, let me see. Let me see. Double check because
Okay.
you know sometimes they can play with things.
True.
But I remember it said Sweetie Belle's voice actress before. I just want to make sure it's not like the singing voice actress.
Okay, you're right.
Let me see.
So that's someone completely different.
Raina Mavis voiced by Claire Cora.
Claire Corley.
Yep.
Yeah, she's moving up in the world.
And you can sort of
That's interesting to hear.
And you can sort of, because I went back and listen to like the grown up Sweetie Belle, and like you can sort of hear, it's a different voice, but you can sort of hear the same mannerisms in the same way, like you can hear like a, for like Tara Strong, like you can sort of how she has different voices, but you can also pick up sort of patterns in the same thing. You can sort of pick up that with her and Sweetie Belle, and also it's sort of like a basically CMC like group is the main thing.
Mm-hmm.
And like the sort of gimmick with her is like she's like the straight man of the group. Like all of them are going over like, oh, let's talk about our past. And, like all of them have tragic past stories.
Mm-hmm.
And then she is like, oh yeah, my mother died when I was young, and then I was raised by my brothers and my father, and we had a very loving thing growing up. And it's like, and it's like, oh, they didn't want me to be a knight, so I just ran away. It's like, and it's like, that's it. It's like, oh, that's boring. She basically has like the happy, like amongst the, like all of them having tragic backstories, she is like just a vanilla like happy childhood, and they sort of that's the joke.
Nice. Nice.
But yeah, that's the thing is like, yeah, it's bringing back to this, like, yeah, she's voicing her, like, it's sort of an interesting thing.
Nice.
And then on gaming front, I'm trying to figure out what to play. What just started the Final Fantasy VII remake, which it was good, but I just didn't get that deep into it. Then I remembered, oh yeah, Hades is coming out to PSN next week, so I just sort of like put Final Fantasy VII on a hold because I'm not beating that within a week. Right. Because yeah, it's like even the remake, which is not the full game, is still like a 40-hour experience.
Yeah, but you know, it's almost like you want it, you know.
But it's like I'm still in the intro-y area, so like I haven't been hooked yet. So it's like this is a good point to like jump off, then you come back later.
Oh yeah. I've seen like how they redone with all the new gen graphics and such. That just completely was a feast for the eyes.
Yeah, because I'm just playing it right now. Like I also didn't like the combat system too much because it's sort of like real time, but it's like not the real time where like your actions. It's sort of like delayed real time sort of
Right.
thing. But it's like you're like it's important that you need to attack to build up the charge. You use the magic attacks and all that. But it's like a sort of like the main like your regular attack basically because that does nothing. It's just so you can doing something.
Right.
So I just basically switched over to classic where it's just doing that itself and you're just selecting magic because like well my action really doesn't matter so might as well just have it where it's doing it itself.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, that was fun. I probably will beat it like eventually, but like Hades is coming up, and like okay, that's another big like ongoing JRPG action thing. Is like I need to not invest in anything else because that's going to be taking up a lot of time probably.
Oh yeah, and here I am still playing, still just starting Twilight, Legend of Zelda: Twilight Princess.
I really hope Nintendo within the next month or so announces a remake of that and Wind Waker. They already have.
You know what? You know what? Yeah, that would be a great. That would be a great idea. That would be a great idea.
They already have the HD remaster like on the Wii U already made. They just have to port that. They already did the hard part already.
Pretty much. But one thing I think they shouldn't do, they need to leave. I would say do not remake Ocarina of Time. I would say leave it alone. I say leave Ocarina of Time alone. It's fine the way it's perfect the way it is.
Well, that's another thing I could see them remake releasing it like the
sure.
Releasing the 3DS version that got remade.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I can see it because in the same way if they bundle it exactly like how the Mario bundle was last year, where it had like two modern games, basically Wii and like GameCube games, and then also a N64 game. And they sort of do the same formula, even though technically Twilight Princess and Wind Waker were both on GameCube. If they have that, then Ocarina of Time, I could see them doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And then people complaining about them not remastering Ocarina of Time enough. But people still buying it.
But here's the defense for no, don't remaking it. Does any gamer out there want to put themselves through that water temple again?
People who will complain about buying it, but will and do it anyway.
Then you deserve whatever trauma you get afterwards. Then you deserve whatever fresh trauma you get from that the new and improved water temple will inflict on you.
All right. But I guess with that said, I guess we're going to move on to a news story so we can get the main thing. Yes. Carlos already covered the one about the wait, did he mention? Yeah, the JoJo's Jar Binzer.
Yeah.
All right, so it was sort of a news story one. Now we move on to the other stuff, which is I guess some of the shorter ones first, which is like one, the Suicide Squad came out and is actually good. Thank you, Jenn.
I've heard that. I heard that from Angry Joe, the reviewer, and I saw your review of it. I was like, oh my gosh, really?
Yeah. I think that's the good. Like my review of it, just to give thing is like. It's like an 80s like jungle like South American, Central American like action movie, but with a superhero / villains because of Suicide Squad twist, and also like fully R. So it's not like just shooting people. No, it's like dismembering people.
And of course you have the shark. You have the shark, the killer shark in there, just randomly grabbing people and be like nom nom and eating it and just basically just boring them.
Voiced by Sylvester Stallone too. So it definitely isn't like an 80s action movie.
Stallone is right in his element. He's right in his element, but someone in Hollywood is like, we can't get him to do Rocky 7 or wait a minute. No, we can't get him to do like another Rambo. This is the closest we're ever gonna get for him doing a Rambo again.
I mean, I think he did do another Rambo again, but like people just forgot about it.
He did do another Rambo, but you know how some like Hollywood properties are like, oh, we got to keep this engine going more and more and more, and Stallone is like God in his like 60s or 70s or whatever.
Oh, he is old. Like it's like he's old, and it sort of shows. Like I think it's like him and Chuck Norris, like the people that are old, but like they can still sort of, they don't really show their age sort of thing.
Right.
And Sylvester Stallone, he's actually getting to a point where like he does start to show his age some more.
Yeah.
I think it's also because he's just he's so much more physically involved in his action.
Oh yeah.
So like it's like, cause yeah, I mean maybe Chuck Norris can beat you up and all that, but like he's not generally as does his own stunts and all that as like Stallone was, or like as action, which does take a more toll on your body.
Or or the great Jackie Chan, of course.
Formerly great Jackie Chan, he's now he's a puppet of an authoritarian regime.
He's still great. He's still great.
He sold out Hong Kong. Like he was born there. That's why I don't respect. He was born and raised and became famous because of Hong Kong. And now when they're overrun, like they're being arrested for like protesting democracies, like how dare they assault the great police of Hong Kong? It's like, go fuck you, Jackie Chan. And I say that because I loved him as a kid. That's why I'm so bitter about this.
Oh. I'd be like, wait, what earned this ire? What earned this ire? And so he basically sold out Hong Kong?
Yeah, he's sold out, and he's from Hong Kong. So he basically, just to get more more embedded with the Communist Party of China. Like he's like, oh, I want to be a member of the Communist Party of China.
Wait. What?
Yeah, he's publicly voiced that like in China, like China trying to get like he wants to get like a seat on that.
Oh my God!
And they're not sure. The thing is, like, they're not sure if they want to let him in as a thing.
I have never. Well, congratulations! I have never been more disappointed in anything than
that's why
this,
I said
this moment right now.
That's why I said I'm sort of bitter about it, because like I used to really like Jackie Chan as a kid. Like I love Jackie Chan Adventures and all that, but like I can't respect like it's really like. Especially the Hong Kong part, because like he is from Hong Kong, he's Hong Konger, and like he's literally selling out his. That's like I.
Maybe he's been replaced by an alien. Maybe this isn't real. This is some sort of April Fool's joke, right? It's going on a little too long, right? Or maybe he's just been replaced by an alien or a skinwalker that is pretending to be him. And the real one is stuck somewhere in a lab in Siberia or something. We have to rescue him. I'm looking for some sort of reason. I'm looking for some sort of reason. Like, this isn't real. This isn't real life, is it? If it is, then like, no wonder I watch cartoons too much. But gosh, I've never been more disappointed than now. If this. What I feel right now is, anyone seen the movie The Fifth Element, where Gary Oldman's character is like rushing back in? It's like he thinks he's got the stones, but then he opens the chest and he's like, they're not here. And he's got to run back in, and he's got to go right back to Floss in Paradise, and he's in the ship, and he's like, I'm very disappointed! Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's the mood.
Gotcha.
Next.
No, it's next. I thought you were going to say something, or?
No.
All right. Then I guess the next news story, slightly good news, or eventually will be news, is like PS5 finally is getting its expandable storage unlocked soonish. As in like their beta software trial, people are starting to experiment with like internal SD expansions. So, yeah, just sort of like just sort of random thing. Yeah, just sort of funny thing. It's like, yeah, the PS5 does have a built-in SSD slot inside. You just have to get to it, but they had it locked since launch because they didn't have like the properly tested all the SD things for it. So now they're finally unlocking it for beta testers, and people are freaking out like, oh, this is too confusing. Which, yeah, it is confusing. However, you don't have to worry. They want you to buy their very, very expensive like standard like SD storage things. They will make it extremely easy for you to like figure out if you can add to your PS5.
Of course they do.
That's all I say. People are freaking out, but like, oh, this is confusing. Like, if this is the right card, if they're like right speeds, like, do not freak out. They will advertise it if it works for PS5 because they want those sales.
Of course they do.
Yeah. And then going on to other news, like JoJo was already mentioned, and then I hate to end on even another bitter news is, if you have not heard, there's the Activision Blizzard lawsuit going on and all the dirty laundry that's coming out from that.
Activision. Okay.
How aware are you two of this?
Nope, not at all.
I'm a little bit of aware because I've seen some posts about it, but it's mostly been through the kind of online groups that are female gamer centered. That I've just heard like bits and pieces from there, you know.
Basically, long story short, is California is suing Activision Blizzard for not properly handling sexual, just various things. Basically, two things: both not properly handling sexual allegations, concerns, and then the other thing is not properly being biased in terms of like for women workers.
Right.
There's actually like 3 different classes of like allegations and all that, but that's sort of the 2 camps they fall into. And it's one of those things that's like it gets like they're actually seemingly going to fight in court, so it's going to get murky. But it's like, and it's basically they were like, we're going to fight. Like these are basically not denying it, but denying it, and then basically a whole bunch of employees walked out or something in protest, and now so it's just sort of a mess right now. And we're trying to figure out how much of it is a real mess and all that. So it's an ongoing thing, but like the biggest thing, which is it seems to be more centered on Activision hierarchy, like the upper position sort of thing, not the people who make the games, like the very high up level, and then also the Blizzard area. Those are like the 2 areas that are like most corrupted in this. Which Blizzard hasn't really been good in a while, like with the little excluding the little bleep that was Overwatch.
Right.
They've been sort of a mess. It's like their recent like remakes of like I think it was like what was that one? Like not 4K, but like the medieval 4K thing. It was like a remake of an old RTS, and it was basically broken when they released it.
Right.
So that studio's been a mess for a while. So it continues. It's also the studio that sort of did the whole Blizzchong thing and was like, it's like, yay, freedom for Hong Kong, and banned them.
I remember hearing that.
So this is, and also like the one person, the president who was sort of involved with that, has stepped down recently, which objectively, regardless of allegations, he was sort of an asshole. He gave off like asshole vibes. So like, I think regardless how valid he thinks these complaints are not and all that, it's just still going to be debated. Because I had I think I mentioned Colin Moriarty and all that. He did like a special with a lawyer discussing it, and like he said, like the harder to like prove or like for the state to prove thing would be the female like disparately like not giving proper advancement for. That's going to be harder to prove because it needs to be specific, like not just like, oh, this person's not being paid this much in this position compared to this one in a different position. I mean, a different position because those are 2 different jobs, and that's where some of the comparisons were, which is harder to prove sort of things. So that's like they have a more footing to defend themselves there, but like it's the sexual assault things are more murky and all that. It's like a big clusterfuck of allegations. So that's a big mess that they're dealing with. I'm just hoping
like that.
I'm just hoping with all that we'll eventually get a Spyro 4 from this. That's like the one thing I'm still hoping from Activision delivers on. Like, he gave us a Crash 4, just please give me a Spyro 4.
Yeah. Makes sense, I guess.
But yeah, those are the news stories. So I guess we can move on to the main subject, which is just sort of so the idea is like, oh yeah, with 2020 we had some game it's sort of the idea. The main subject, the topic of the show is basically game delays.
Mm-hmm.
My thoughts on them, and also the sort of we're sort of used to them in the gaming industry, but also they've been really, really bad this year, even more than last year, which
Mm-hmm.
are interesting. But it's basically because of the pandemic that's sort of the reason behind that. Um, so I just want to get everyone's thoughts on like game delays in general.
Uh, game delays. I don't know. I just think it's par for the course. You know, if something happens and you need to go over something, I feel like it may be inevitable. Um, yeah, I feel like it may be inevitable, but it all depends on, like, the quality of the company and such. Like, if you remember the Cyberpunk debacle, like, it got delayed, I think, like twice or something, and then
Oh, I got
and it
delayed more than twice.
okay, more than twice. It got delayed more than twice, and then
Yeah,
it came out, and it was being built up and built up and built up, and then it comes out, and apparently it was just buggy as hell. It was just buggy as hell, you know.
it just reminds me of a funny meme video I've seen. It's like there's like a PS4 like picked up Cyberpunk and like its owner's like,
Yeah.
don't put that in, yeah. It's like, don't put it in, and then the PS4 is like, I've been waiting for this my entire life. And like someone did the math, it's like, oh my gosh, it's true. Cyberpunk was announced before like the PS4 was released.
Oh my god.
That's how long this is, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's true.
Are you
That
serious?
summarizes like yeah, that game was delayed and put on hold and like for a while, then it still came out sort of broken.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was such a disappointment. That was such a disappointment,
I haven't played. I
unfortunately.
actually have the game over here, but I'm waiting to play it until like the PS5 version comes out because it's like, okay, I'm gonna really realistically play this once. I'm gonna wait until it actually is functional and of the higher quality. I can
Right,
wait,
right.
and like, so yeah, that's why I
You're
haven't.
much more merciful. You're much more merciful than some of the other gamers out there.
I was like, I have other games playing. I was like, it's sort of like with Hades. Like Hades, I could have gotten my Switch like a year ago, but I want to play it with the highest quality, like on I want to 60 frames per second, just like higher resolution, and also with trophies and all of that.
Yeah.
So like, it's like I want to play it like my peak performance for that, and like that
Hmm.
would be on PlayStation. So
Gotcha.
that I'm okay with waiting for that for a little bit just to get that. And that's why I can't wait for Hades coming out next week.
Cool.
Um, let me see, but Carlos, what are your general thoughts on game delays?
Honestly, I'm still waiting for an announcement date for the game Digimon Survive. We don't even have an announcement date for what looks like to be a survival RPG, man. I want to play that game so bad. I already played through the Cyber Sleuth trilogy. I tried out Next Order. We have no confirmation for this dang game. This is what I think about your game delays and such. Please inform us that you're actually working on it. Maybe give us like a month updates about it, like you're working on it, even if you can't give a confirmed date. It's hating not knowing that if you guys are actually working on it or not, you know?
Ah.
The wait is killer. The wait is murderous.
But
Yeah, and the same thing was like for like the getting information about the World Ends with You sequel. It
Oh
took us
yeah, the
14
Neo world
years.
is you.
It took us 14 years for an actual sequel, like and like basically like 9 years after like you give us like a little picture of one of the characters from Neo 9 years ago. 9 years ago.
9 years.
So yeah, please inform your consumers at least that you're actually working on it, or if you're not working on it at the moment, we would very much appreciate that. So that's all I can say about game delays.
sorry, I had myself muted for a second.
Okay.
Yeah, there was. I think I have to to give my thoughts on it, and I think a lot of people probably heard the Miyamoto quote is like a good game is a delayed game could be good eventually, but a rushed game is bad forever.
I agree.
Like that's a very famous quote. It's very used a lot to a point where it's like sort of overused because it's sort of I feel takes away from the burden like that there is a pain in a game delay, especially if it is depends on the type. Like a game delay like a month, like no one really like that doesn't really bother you. Like it's just last minute things.
Uh-huh.
But like there is sort of a weight when like especially when there's a whole bunch of games being delayed back to back because there's sort of unrealistic expectations of release things. And also as like I want to get to is like 2020 is having a very interesting effect on 2021 in terms of game releases.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, there is a weight to like yeah a good the motto is true, but at the same time there is pain that you really like if you sort of try to ignore is just not fair. Um, which I feel a lot of gaming press and all that just sort of ignores. Like, yeah, there is pain when their game is delayed, especially if it's so like, especially when it's just like nebulous.
Right.
That sort of brings me to why this is I feel the topic of the show, which is like 2022 and more specifically COVID.
Right.
That greatly impacted game release schedules because everything was shut down last year. Not particularly too much last year. Like there's a few game delays, but a lot of those games are basically in the finishing stages. So they're basically delayed months instead of like I go like 1 or 2 months or things. But the real feeling is like this year because a lot of games are mid-production, had their mid-production stuff like interrupted, which they put a good 6 month or plus like delayed in their schedule as they basically tried to adapt. So we're seeing this year in 2021 like a whole bunch of games just being delayed back to back to back.
Right.
Like there's big rumor like not confirmed but basically confirmed rumor that Horizon Zero Dawn 2's sequel is
Oh yeah.
being delayed to 2022, which the weird thing with that delay is like I'm less upset about the delay itself of the game because like I don't mind waiting for that game.
Uh-huh.
The main more reason I'm upset about that game being delayed is like god damn it, you're releasing it the same year as like the sequel, in theory the sequel to Breath of the Wild 2. It's like you can't escape being in that game's shadow, can you? Like Guerrilla Games, you just can't.
Nope.
Because like if that's what I'm more upset like if that game was very good because like if Horizon 2 got released this year, it would have probably been the biggest like game of the year contender. But if it gets pushed to next year, it'll be competing against stuff like Elden Ring, which is the new Dark Souls game. Will be competing against, in theory, Breath of the Wild 2, against God of War 2, against the guys, whatever I forget the next Bethesda game is. I forget Starfield, which is sort of like the potentially next big franchise from the Elder Scrolls slash Fallout team. That's been releasing in theory next year. Then like, oh gosh, there's I forget whatever big. There's one big Xbox game that's also besides that Starfield being released next year too. So it's like going to compete against all those like goddamn it Guerrilla Games. Horizon got overshadowed. It's really got released because it was released the same week as Breath of the Wild.
Whoopsie.
No, like that's funny. They announced their thing and it's basically a transitionary week where it's the week and like it's like the final week of February, but like the first week of March also. Because Nintendo likes to release on Friday and Horizon was released on Tuesday, it got compete the same week and sort of got ignored. Yeah, that's what I was like. I was like, gosh dang it, because Horizon is a good game, and I feel it deserves a lot of respect, but it doesn't. Like I'd say, it's like I really wanted to release this year. Like I felt it would have got more. It would have got its like. It would have got its proper respect this year, but if it gets pushed to next year, which probably is, it's like it'll be a good game, a little fun. I'll play it, but it's not going to be in the game of the year discussion, really, probably.
Right.
On the bright side, the chance of Ratchet and Clank being a clear winner are going up.
Hey.
But yeah, that's what someone goes like. That's sort of interesting watching like so many games being delayed, and just not just the nebulous games, like sort of like Metroid Prime 4 has been announced.
Mhm.
And it's like it's still being delayed. It's like I think Carlos mentioned that with like his games. Like I was like not release schedule. Like there's a whole bunch of games like that where it's like they don't have a confirmed release schedule, but it's just the idea of them releasing keeps getting pushed back. Like I think Final Fantasy 16 is still sort of nebulous.
Mhm.
Farther along than I think we think. By the same time, it's a Final Fantasy, so it could be released next year. It could be released like in 2023.
Wow.
But yeah, there's a sort of pandemic. The pandemic has caused a delay pandemic, and we're still sort of dealing with that.
And truth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something we're going to be dealing with quite some time.
Well, that's the thing is I'm going to bring up the like sort of final topic on this topic is like when do you think that will end?
2023.
What are you talking about? Are you talking about like the pandemic itself or the delays?
Delays.
Oh wow.
Like not just like because the nebulous days, like there is a games will always be delayed. Like that's sort of part of the industry.
Mhm.
But there is a big epidemic because of the epidemic, where there's so many games like universally being delayed from 2021.
Mhm.
So I think when do you think that big like industry-wide delays thing will end?
Oh wow. Industry-wide delay. I don't think it'll ever end. I think it'll be reduced, but I don't think it will 100% stop.
No, I mean I'm just like the pandemic-related delays,
Oh,
like how
pandemic.
everything. That's what I mean, like just like the
Pandemic related.
industry-wide, like everything's just being delayed just because of pandemic.
Yeah.
Pushback like that. That's what I said. The delays in general will always be part of the thing. It's just
Okay.
the natural process.
But
But I
as
mean,
for
like
pandemic,
the surge in delays.
you know what? I think as long as we're still in a pandemic, we're still gonna have this until somehow, some way, the magic cure for COVID is discovered and everybody's vaccinated or whatever they got to do for it, and it's just like eradicated from the world. Then we're still gonna be dealing with it. However long we're in a pandemic, however long this pandemic continues, I think that's how long we're gonna have these delays. If that makes any sense.
Carlos, what are your thoughts?
I mentioned like 2023 was my estimation for like when this stuff will actually end. Like for the COVID release delays. And once they fully have a grasp on it, it'll be nearly 5 years. That's when they'll be acclimated to it and not be like so unsure of themselves.
Yeah, it's actually it's actually sort of good that for me to feel like the optimist for once. I feel the big switch of delays will continue through 2021, like just because things can't make the holiday window. And also because I think the next thing that's going to be delayed, at least partially delayed, is Halo, because it still seems they just released like the multiplayer alpha/beta, but we still know crud about the campaign, and it's still supposed to be released this year, and the whole production of that is a mess. So that's the next big thing to be delayed, at least partially. I could see it releasing the multiplayer this year, but I feel like the single player is going to be delayed there.
Right.
Without that, I feel is partially due to the pandemic, but also partially due because whatever the heck has happened over at 343 is a sort of shit show right now. Like objectively, like the way Halo Infinite was announced last year and basically delayed within like a week or two because of Greg, the very poorly done like animated brute. If you didn't see that meme, you probably recognize the Greg meme, but the Halo brute that just looks like a Xbox render, not an Xbox 360 or something like original Xbox render of something. So yeah, that game's a mess outside of COVID. COVID just sort of made it worse. So I think that's the next thing. But like overall, I think I'm optimistic. Like vaccinations are getting more spread. Like knock on wood, we won't have a major like variant that like greatly pierces the vaccine.
Yeah.
Delta's slightly more piercing, but it's not really. It's still like far into the vaccine's protection numbers.
Right. Or just more people just get over whatever it is they're on and get vaccinated, or these vaccines are safe enough for those who have like, I've actually legit have a couple people that I've met, that have legit medical concerns about the vaccine. Like one of my friends actually can't get back. He wants to get vaccinated, but he can't because of certain medication he's on right now. They don't know how it's going to react. So they don't know how it's going to react to it. And then I met somebody who actually had really adverse effects from one of the vaccines too. So yes. So I'm hoping if they've got one that is like 100% safe. Well, okay, maybe it's wishful thinking. If there's one that's like 100% safe, there's like no side effects, whatever. It's not going to mess with your It's not going to mess with what you're taking. It's not going to like give you any side effects or anything.
Well, that's the thing is like that the vaccines like there are side effects like that's mostly true. Like there are some people that are exceptions, like your friend. Like there are a few people that are encouraged not to get vaccine right now just because of their.
And it's like a legit medical, reason.
Yeah, that is true. Like that's true for pretty much all vaccines. It is an ongoing thing. But for most people, like the Moderna and Pfizer vaccine, and even the J&J vaccine, like the main disadvantage of J&J vaccine is it's not as effective.
Right.
The big plus is basically you shot yourself once, and then like within a week, its effects are fully there.
Right.
But with the Pfizer and Moderna, like they are very good against most variants, like shockingly good, like for vaccine. However, even if they're like 90% effective against like most variants, I think Delta is like lower than that, but still good. Like there's still like the breakthrough things, like it's 90% effective, but there's that still at 10%.
Yeah.
And get enough people together, it still will break through. The idea though is if you vaccinate everyone. Yeah, 10% might still get the virus, but then that virus has to be spread to the other people. So basically, it strangles itself out.
Right.
It can't survive off of like the 10% like breakthrough. Like viruses can survive there. However, if there's like 20% people that aren't vaccinated, it can't survive within there.
Right.
Just like
but also, it's also responsibility. It's also the responsibility of those people to, I guess, either if they have to mask up, then mask up. If doing what we did in the pre-pandemic, I just hope we don't get to the point where we got to lock down again. Because good luck trying to reinforce that again.
Yeah, I've said this before. Like they might try to enforce restrictions on certain things. Like I have a convention I'm going to in December. If it gets if there's like the Gamma variant gets out, that's actually might shut down big events. But in terms of like full on lockdown, we are not going back to there.
Nobody wants to lock.
Like you can't unless the like Gamma variant is like as deadly as like the plague, more or less. Unless we literally get to like plague level like death and spreading, we aren't going into full lockdown again. Like people will not tolerate it.
Did you just make that up, or is there a real Gamma variant out there?
There probably is a Gamma variant, but like I mean, like what I mean, like because
that's out there in the universe. Don't put that out there in the universe. We don't want this to happen. We don't want this to happen.
I'm pretty sure there is a Gamma variant. I think I've heard somebody mention already, but like it's not.
Don't put that out there.
but it's not like it's just like there's thousands of variants of viruses. It's just like the very particular ones that are like the Delta variant. Like there are stuff after the Delta variant. It's just Delta variant's particular like concern. Like Delta, like the I can't remember my freaking Greek alphabet and all that, but like the Beta variant or something like it's out there, but it's not as much of a concern.
Well,
it's like it's because
alpha, beta.
this part about yeah. There's like viruses like it's not just like that the next variant's more deadly by default. It's just there's more variants, deadly or contagious. A variant. All a variant means is it's different. Okay. Different can actually be better in terms of like suppressing it. It's just it's different. So don't be concerned about a gamma as of now. Delta is disconcerting, not because from our also our hearing is Delta is actually not as deadly. From our hearing, it's just the big thing with Delta.
Go ahead. Sorry.
The big thing with Delta from our as occurred, like I can't confirm or deny if it's more deadly. I haven't researched it that much, but from here it's actually not as deadly potentially. The big thing with Delta is it's much more contagious is a thing. So that's why it is concerning because like it is like taking an already contagious virus and make it even more contagious.
Well, now I'm waiting for a Bravo. Well, I'm waiting for either a Bravo variant or a Whiskey Tango Foxtrot variant.
But yeah, going back to my optimism actually side is like
I feel
optimism. With the knock on wood, vaccines mostly stay effective through like there's no variant. There's no variant that greatly breaks them. Like vaccinations are spreading in the U.S. and in Europe and all that, where games are mostly made in Japan. So I feel like widespread vaccinations will be mostly successful by the end of the year. And in terms of at least in terms of gaming, the game developing areas.
Yeah.
It'll take a while for China and India and like a lot of Africa those areas to be vaccinated to the same level.
Right.
Just because like there's more people there and also there's just less financial incentive. I mean, I hate to sound cruel about that, but it's like literally the U.S. government is like bankrolling. Like the reason the U.S. is 70%, like 70% of the U.S. is vaccinated already.
Yeah.
Which is sort of like we complain about being late to that, but that is astonishing. And that is astonishing.
That's not bad. That's not bad, honestly. That's not bad.
Like that is astonishing. That's just because we have the finances to like basically front that. And basically like you don't have to pay for a vaccine. Like the government is funding all of it and all that. But like in other like poor regions or regions like in India, where there's just so many people to be vaccinated, like it just takes longer. And like there's also just more people there because there's 300 million people in the U.S. and like that's still not too much compared to especially how much of our industry. But I'm just saying like overall like in a game, I feel like there would be enough widespread vaccinations at least in the gaming developing area like in Europe, Japan, and U.S. That I feel like overall game production will get back on normal by probably the end of the year.
Yeah. And I'm thinking a lot of companies and businesses now are requiring people to either be vaccinated and such. So maybe if the game companies have that rule, then maybe we'll see the less delay sooner than we think.
Yeah, and also like I feel like the people in gaming companies generally also are more proactive. Like they're more in the like demographics that would be vaccinated. So
right.
I feel like they would be. That's what I said. I feel like the gaming community, like and all that, like the game developing side, we mostly vaccinate like by the end of the year, and then like I feel what I'm trying to say is like overall, I feel like the glut of delays, I feel will probably continue until like probably halfway into 2022. As they're basically the industry is adjusting to, just truly adjusting to like what the pandemic did and like sort of like how that, because it's like sort of like you can't really blame them for not knowing like how this will affect production.
True.
Some games will be released perfectly on schedule. Like I could absolutely believe Elden Ring gets released in January.
Right.
However, it could be delayed a month or two, but I don't feel it being delayed too much. That's to say, the glut will slow down. I feel, but like even before then, but I feel like the industry will fully adjust to vaccination and all that, and like what the pandemic has done. They'll fully like recalculate the schedules probably by halfway through the year, is what I'm saying.
Uh-huh.
Some games will be delayed and all that after that, but games will always been delayed.
Right.
So that's my optimism. I feel like the industry will mostly recalculate things by the end, like midway through next year.
I agree. That seems feasible.
I don't know if that means we'll get God of War next year, but
You mean there's a God of War 6?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's
What?
like if you haven't know, the series have been, about the reboot in 2018, right?
Wait, is that the one? That's the one where he's in the Norse, where Kratos is in the Norse.
Yeah.
The Norse mythology, boy, all the time.
This is basically the sequel. There's going to be a God of War 2 to that because it's not a reboot of the series, as in like it's like a soft reboot where it's like you can jump in this point, not know, but have not played the previous games. This is the sequel to that is coming out next year, in theory.
Okay.
Also, a fun fact if you're not aware of that, they got for that Kratos, they got a new voice actor for him for the 2018.
They got a new voice actor for Kratos.
Yeah, for the 2018. It's have you watched Stargate?
Heard of it, but didn't watch a lot of it.
Okay, you don't know the actor. Like the actor of Teal'c in that series is like the voice actor of Kratos. It's like sort of a joke about like he plays Teal'c, which is a servant of like basically fake gods in that series. Alien gods are pretending to be like Egyptian gods, and he has a son which he has to raise after his mother dies, and he has to sort of like get used to that. And it's like now he's playing Kratos, which is must take care of his son after his mother died, taking on Norse gods. It's like his actor must have he must really stretch his previous role.
Oh, wait a minute. Was there a voice actor change from the traditional God of War series until he destroys Olympus, and then the 6, and then the 5, and then God of War 5 when he's in the Norse mythology? Was there a voice actor change?
I don't think it changed much besides maybe the PSP games. It's like the big change was like from the newer, like the reboot in 2018. That's where like the actor of Teal'c got in there. So yeah, you have an African American actor voicing like the most white character in gaming.
Well, I don't know. Kratos is for. Well, I don't know. And Kratos was still kind of, human-esque before he became Kratos God of War or something. The reason why he's so white is because the makeup on his face, that's the curse.
No, that's a joke of this thing. It's like that's
the curse. That's the curse of his family's ashes.
Yeah, that's why the joke of it comes because he's voicing like an African American Teal'c, which he did a great performance. That's why I loved him. I loved this Teal'c and I loved him in this. He's bringing so much character to the new Kratos. Like he is like great for the role. But it is sort of funny because he's literally playing a character whose skin is bleached. He's not just a white character, he's a bleached white character. So there's like funny things. It's like this more like
a powdered character, honestly, because that ain't paint. That's ash. More like a powdered.
A powdered. Yeah, that's just like those funny ironies in gaming. But I do like. Yeah, if anything, because he really like the reboot of God of War is like it really it brings that series to another level in ways that I can't really describe, and like his performance as Kratos as a new actor like helps that significantly.
Gotcha. Interesting.
But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like that's a game I could actually see being delayed. Like I could see that game being delayed, but I could see it not necessarily because of the pandemic, sort of, but also not, because it's just like, we'll see how it goes. But
yeah.
Well, yeah, there's my optimism. I think this bout of the game delays will probably, the pandemic specific ones will probably be ending by about summer next year, is my guess. Knocking on wood, vaccinations and all that keep up and all that. And
I really hope so. I need to find some wood in a big hurry. I need to find some wood in a big hurry so I can knock on it.
But yeah, that's my optimism. I feel like things will stabilize because next year, like between like the rest of the year and this year is like basically are the stabilizing phases. You can't see my hands, but they're making air quotes.
Yeah.
like their air quote gestures, like they are stabilizing like between the second half of this year and into next year, where they're recalculating the release schedules and all that. But I feel things are stabilizing, but just still there'll be a few more delays in between there as like they stabilize. But overall, I feel the worst has hit in terms of the game delays, and the industry and hopefully the world is getting back together, and hopefully that means we eventually get that Mario world and Universal, and we'll get the Florida version of that sooner than later.
Yeah, sure hope. Yeah, I hope so. I hope so.
Have you heard about that? Like the Universal Studios Japan?
The what?
Like, and Universal has signed a deal with Nintendo to basically create a Mario
Oh, yes.
attachment.
Yes, I have heard of that. Yes.
Yeah, and like if you see the photos, and actually it's open up in Japan right now, but the Florida one got delayed until I think like 2023 or 2024, which really sucks. But it's like it's surreal looking how much that looks like Mario Kart and like the entire Mushroom Kingdom. And it's like I really can't wait for that because gosh, that'll be a great Florida vacation one year, going to Universal and going to Hogwarts, and then walking next door to Mushroom Kingdom.
Right. Oh, that sounds so cool.
Normalcy. But I think yeah, that's the main thing I'm going to talk about this time, and is that. So, any other closing thoughts on the game delays or whatever?
Nope, none here.
Nada. Zero.
All right. Well, this is a shorter thing this time, and unfortunately, the Day Lover and Second wasn't able to jump in time, but yeah, they're together and having fun because they're finally happy couples finally together.
Yep. Shout out to Second and Day. Congratulations.
Yeah, you too, Lovebirds. Enjoy your company for sure.
Y'all are cute. That's another positive thing.
Yep, the happy couple is back on the same side of the Atlantic.
Yes.
So, but with that said, that is ending on a happy note, I guess. So
yeah.
I guess see y'all in the next podcast.
See you next time.
Ciao.